What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back with another episode of All Gear No Game, and we got that new cover art going on. It's pretty sick. And make sure to, follow us on the Instagram and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. Yeah. But yeah, we got Jonah back with another. We're gonna be talking about some NBA, and I think first we're gonna start off with our lineups. Dude, this intro's so bad. Like, I'm so bad at introductions. It's fun.
That's okay. I think we're getting better though, if anything.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So we're gonna start off. Jonah's gonna do his top, future megastars, and then, our current using current players. We're gonna make our dream lineups. So yeah, hop into it. Let's do it.
So for my top 3 future megastars, I did obviously only young players. And the way I defined young players were guys who are still on their rookie contracts.
Oh,
so basically, for all intents and purposes, the first 4 seasons in the league. And I actually found this to be pretty easy to make this top 3. There are some really good young players, but I think there were 3 that were just a cut above. So number 1, no question, was Luka Doncic. I think you'd agree with that, right, Kellan?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Luka's obviously really good. Second season in the league, led the most efficient offense in NBA history. This kid probably, at this point, if you were to tell me his career would finish and he would be considered a top 25 player of all time, I would be disappointed. I fully expect Luka to retire as a top 10 player in NBA history, possibly even top 5.
Dang.
Yeah, the ceiling is the roof for Luka Doncic.
Ceiling is the roof.
The kid is very good. He's got every trick in the bag. As I don't know. I don't even know if he can legally drink yet, but he plays like a 30-year-old point guard. He can manipulate the defense on the highest level. He's got every little step back 3. He can make every read in the pick and roll. He can find guys with either hand. He can find them all over the floor. He just sees the game in a way that is just unreal for a kid his age. And that's why I had no doubt in my mind when I put Luke at number 1. My number 2 guy maybe hasn't shown as much as Luke. Well, he hasn't shown as much as Luka has yet, but I think he's got also a ton of potential. And he really started to flash that potential as we got into the last couple of months of this season. And that's Jason Tatum. And that's probably a bit of a surprising pick. I bet most people probably would have put Zion number 2. I decided to put Jason Tatum number 2. And that's just because with Zion, I love Zion. I think he was tremendous in the, 19 games he played this season?
I think something like that.
Yeah, but Jason Tatum is going to be around for the next 15 years. He's a way better defender than Zion is. He can get to shots at all 3 levels. He can create shots at all 3 levels, and he's efficient at all 3 levels. And that's been the big thing for me, seeing Jason Tatum improve this year, is how he settled for shots a lot less this year. In the past, you would see him beat his defender. He's always been very good with the ball in his hands. He's always been a good isolation player near the end of shot clocks and such. But far too often you'd see him settle for those little 10 to 15 foot fadeaway floater type shots, which he's good at. Don't get me wrong, that's a good shot, but you saw him take it to the basket a lot more this year. You saw him create threes for himself too, which he converted just an insane rate. He was unconscious from 3 for the last couple of months of the season, and that's why I put Jason Tatum at 2. Also, probably, this is another big opinion, I'd say he's probably the best wing help defender in the NBA right now. Probably, I could be talked into saying that would be Jonathan Isaac 5 years from now, or even 1 year from now. But we just haven't seen Jonathan Isaac healthy this season. And when we have seen him healthy, he was not quite at the level that I saw Jason Tatum at this year, and that's why Jason Tatum's number 2. Probably the best all-round guy on my list. I'd say he's a better rounded player than Luka Doncic is when you look at his game holistically. Mm-hmm. And then my third guy, I kind of hinted at this earlier, obviously, but I'm going to go Zion Williamson. He's just a freak athlete. Like, there hasn't ever been a player like him in the NBA. He dominates when he's played. Like, in the 19 games he played, like, I'll always be in the camp of saying that Ja Morant was the rookie of the year this year. Like, obviously you have to factor in the whole season, and Ja Morant just had a crazy good season. Zion Williamson was the best rookie this year. He's better than Ja Morant right now. His athleticism, crashing the offensive glass, he just makes scoring look so effortless on offensively. His defense was terrible, and that could just be the system he played in New Orleans. Like, obviously he was better with Derek Favors on the floor than he was like when he had to play center himself or when he played alongside Jackson Hayes. So it'll be interesting to see how that part of his game progresses. But I'd say what we saw of Zion barely scratched the surface, because obviously he was coming off of an injury, right? So he will probably be more athletic if he reaches once he reaches like the peak of his powers. His handles were insane at Duke. Like, that was one of the things that like popped out if you watched his highlight packages and all that stuff, was just how he could beat guys off the dribble, even in like confined spaces, which is rare for a 6'9" guy, let alone a guy who weighs like 250 pounds. But his handles looked loose when he started playing regular season NBA basketball, and I don't blame him for that. Like, that's obviously just because he was rusty, but that just goes to show like how much better he could be possibly too. Mm-hmm. The only thing that worries me about Zion Williamson is that exactly, like, I think we're in his prime right now. Like, I think like I don't think he's going to be better than he is right now 4 years from now.
Yeah,
which is scary. But I think we're going to be seeing Zion's best basketball within the next 3 years.
Yeah.
And that's why I had to put Tatum ahead of him.
Mm-hmm. It's just, I don't know. I'll never count him out, but I don't know if his frame can sustain the amount of athleticism he has right now.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
But it's still remarkable that he can do the things that he does at his height and weight.
For sure. And I'll never be one of the people who is like saying that Zion should lose a ton of weight, because like part of the reason he's so dominant is because he's big and athletic, and that's just such an unreal combination.
I saw pictures of him. He's like leaned down a little bit, but he's still massive.
Yeah, he's still very big. I think Zion's star is going to burn fast and bright, though, and I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I just think it's something to be aware of if you're the Pelicans, especially considering.
So he could be like a Dwight Howard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like a Dwight Howard, or obviously Shaq had a long career, probably a lot longer than it needed to be, but his prime was over pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think what makes Zion so special is his ability to pop off. Like a lot of times, I feel like because he's played at such a high level his whole entire life that he wasn't phased in his debut or anything. And even though it was a slow start, he just he stuck with it, and he eventually just started hitting shots. He didn't force anything, and that shows a lot of maturity. I think he's really mature for his age.
Absolutely. And I don't really think that shooting is going to be too much of a thing going forward. The 4 threes he hit were just a flash in the pan, but yeah, he definitely is not afraid of the big moment, because he's been under the bright lights his entire life. So
he's just a scary player.
Yeah, it was pretty easy to include him in the top 3.
Yeah. I'll give you mine, and then you can do your top 5 player or your lineup or whatever. So mine, I didn't really do a specific order, but I guess I could. I think that I had Jason Tatum on my list for sure, and then I had Ja and Donovan Mitchell. And so
wow, no Luka,
huh?
No Luka?
No, I picked Donovan Mitchell because I just think he is so athletic, and for some reason he's just, I don't know, he's just a freak show, and he can do everything well. Every time that I watch him playing the Warriors, he shreds them every single time, and the announcers just like marvel over his abilities. I just think he's super good, and I feel like he's not talked about nearly as much as he should be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And then I go with Jog just because he's kind of, I don't know, he's like almost a little Zion, but he's super. I just think he's super good, and he's really fun to watch, and he's must watch TV. Like if the Grizzlies are playing, I'll just tune in to see him ball out.
All right. The thing I would push back a little bit on in terms of Donovan Mitchell is, can we both agree that Luke is better than him right now?
Yeah.
And so what categories do you think Donovan Mitchell will improve on throughout his career that will push him past Luka?
I don't know. It's just there's no like I obviously don't think he's like as good as Luka, but there's just something about him that I just really like watching him play.
Yeah. He's exciting. All the dunks playing above the rim. Like he's cool for sure.
Yeah. But Jason Tatum is like it speaks for itself. Like he's a baller.
He's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. But and then I'm like I don't know like a bunch about basketball, but I know enough to know that these guys are super good. And I mean I don't really have a lot of analysis on it like you do, you know, because I feel like you already spoke a lot like on Jason Tatum and like Ja. I don't know. He's won the Rookie of the Year, so I mean, kind of speaks for itself. So I don't know. I just really like those three guys, and I think they'll be I think they're gonna be staples in the NBA for a long time.
100% for sure.
You just don't like Donovan Mitchell.
It's not that I don't like him. I just can't justify saying he's better than Luka Doncic.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, I'm just saying
a better prospect.
Yeah, no, I'm not putting any like ranking on here. I'm not saying that he's better than Luka. I'm just saying that I think he's going to be a megastar in the future. There's obviously going to be more than 3 megastars in the NBA.
Yep.
Why don't you like Donovan?
It's not. Should we move on to our starting lineup?
Oh my God. You're a hater, dude. This is the beginning. This is literally the beginning of our arguments because, you just don't think that the Warriors are going to succeed next year.
Well, define success.
Huh? They're going to win they're going to win. They're going to win next year.
Yeah, then no, I don't think they're going to succeed. If that's what success means, then most definitely not.
Dude, they're literally the best team in basketball.
We should get to that at the end of the podcast.
Dude, they're literally okay, whatever.
Let's say that.
Okay.
Can I give you my starting lineup for now, though?
Sure. We started this off so bad. You don't think Donovan Mitchell's going to be a star?
I do. I think he's already a star.
He is, but I feel like he doesn't get talked about a whole bunch.
I think he's already a star. I just don't really see him. I don't think he's going to be an all-NBA first team guy. All-NBA first team. Maybe 1 or 2 all-NBA second teams if he's lucky throughout his career.
Yeah.
But all 3 of the guys I mentioned are potential MVP candidates, and I don't really see that for like Donovan, you know?
Mm-hmm. You think Ja's the MVP candidate eventually?
Possibly.
Yeah. I know that Jason Tatum is like the most locked in here.
I think so, yeah. I think Jason Tatum is an MVP candidate as soon as next year.
Yeah. I think that I would have Donovan Mitchell over Dame.
So for my starting lineup, I obviously wanted a well-balanced team that that I thought could measure up offensively and defensively. So I don't know how you did yours, but for mine,
so we're just gonna ignore what I just said.
What did you just say?
Huh?
What did you just say?
I would have Donovan Mitchell over Damian Lillard. You have no comment?
Yeah, no comment. But anyway, for my starting lineup, I don't know how you did yours, but I decided there were 2 possible routes I could have seen. One was just make an all-star team with a bunch of mega stars, but I decided to go a different route and just sort of put a team together that I thought could like play well together and was maybe like not realistic, but sort of like not. It would have been just too easy to say like LeBron, Giannis, Harden, Steph, and
Well,
just
yeah.
like rattle off all stars. So I put together
But that wouldn't really work though.
under like
All
the
those guys
salary
are
cap
like
and stuff.
they all want the ball.
Right. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I don't think they'd work together. But anyway, I'm just gonna go off and kind of like go by position. Okay. So for my point guard, obviously, like the point guard would ideally be like the head of your offense, and so that's exactly what I kind of went for. The guy I chose is young, but he's already got pretty much every trick in the book offensively. He's a great playmaker, which we haven't. He's a great playmaker, and he plays on one of the worst teams in the NBA. So think about what he could do with some good teammates. He can score like crazy.
Donovan Mitchell.
No, he's just an all-around superstar on offense. The defense has been terrible, and that's Trae Young.
Oh yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah. So I think he's going to be obviously the head of my offense. He's an elite scorer.
Trae Young? You would pick Trae Young out of all the guys in the league
to be my point guard?
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm not saying he's the best point guard, but
I know.
just
I'm interested to hear the rest of your team.
For the sake of this exercise, he's obviously like one of my favorite players too, which is part of the reason why I picked him. And obviously, he's terrible defensively, but he's never really been on a team with other good defenders. He's never been on a team that was trying to play competitive basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if he was on a team that was actually competing. Like, obviously, if you're competing for a playoff spot, competing like to go to the NBA Finals, you're going to try harder. He's never really been in a situation like that. I'm not saying he's going to be a good defender. I'm not saying he's going to be an average defender, but can he be a bad defender? Yeah, I think he could be a bad defender because right now he's literally probably one of the 5 worst defenders at the guard position in the league. But I think if he just goes...
Tell me how you really feel.
I think if he just goes from being a terrible defender to a bad defender, I think that could be a big improvement. And I think if you kind of surround him with other good defenders, the way sort of the Warriors did with Curry, like obviously Curry is a much better defender than Trae Young, but he's like not an awesome defender. But the Warriors were able to surround him with a great defensive team so he didn't get picked on, you know? And so that's kind of what my idea was when I built around Trae Young.
I feel like he could hold his own, though.
Yeah, and I don't even know if I'd go that far, but I just don't want him to turn into a plastic bag out there. But I think he's going to be an awesome focal point for my offense.
Dude, this man hates.
How am I hating? I literally could have picked any point guard.
Oh, no, I'm talking about Steph can hold his own.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Okay. I thought you said I thought I wouldn't go that far. Yeah, we weren't on the same page here.
I thought you were talking about Trae Young.
No.
Yeah, Steph Curry can hold his own, especially these days. When he was young and a little smaller, it was a little iffy, but definitely like the past few years, he's really improved.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, my point guard is Trae Young. For the shooting guard, I obviously needed a good defender. This is going to be the guy who guards the best. This is going to be the guy who defends the best guard on the opposing team. And so I went with Dylan Brooks of the Memphis Grizzlies.
Your team's going to suck so bad. Like, if my team and your team played, it would be an absolute, like, complete domination.
Maybe. But anyway, I wanted a guy who was a ball stopper, who plays really hard and physically, and that's definitely Dylan Brooks. He gets into guys. He fouls a little bit too much, especially in terms of like reach-in fouls. You might want to see that decrease, but I think that's just a symptom of how hard he plays, which is like something you need if you're pairing a shooting guard with Trae Young. On offense, is his shot selection perfect? Obviously it's not. Like, he shoots way too many contested long twos off the dribble. Hopefully he won't do that when he's on my team. But he's definitely a guy who I can count on to get an open shot.
Another thing Dylan Brooks is really good at is driving really hard to the basket and then like missing.
Yes, that's true.
That's
But
basically what I remember from Oregon. Really good player, but drives so hard to the basket, and then it just ricochets right off the rim.
yeah. Anyway, though, I think Dylan can be a good fit with Trey, especially defensively. Offensively, he probably won't need to do too much. I might even like, depending on who's guarding him, like obviously you would expect the opposition to throw their best defender at Trey. I wouldn't mind at the end of the shot clock seeing Dylan take some guys one-on-one. That might be a thing for us. And then our small forward, the number one thing I want from one of my forwards is to be able to guard elite level wings. Like, this doesn't matter during the regular season. And obviously teams like the Thunder and Nuggets and even the Blazers are proof that you don't really need an elite wing defender to have an awesome regular season team. But when we make the finals or the conference finals and we're going up against guys like LeBron, Giannis, Kawhi, Paul George, you really need that physical, big, athletic defender who can like compete with those guys. And there aren't very many of those in the league, but I think OG Anunoby is one of them. And that's who my small forward is. OG is probably one of my most underrated players in the NBA, and that's because I think he's a top 5 defender in the NBA and a top 2 or 3 isolation defender, maybe even top 1, but let's just say top 3. I think he can stick with anybody. He's strong. He's crazy athletic. And on the offensive end, can't do too much, but you at least have to guard him because he hits open threes at a consistent enough percentage. And so I don't think he's going to be a liability offensively. But just know OG is going to be taking like the toughest defensive assignment every night. Nobody's going to be running over my team. And it's like LeBron when like obviously LeBron's going to get his, but it's not like he's going to be able
LeBron's on your team too?
No, I'm just saying like he wouldn't be able to go off against my team because we have OG. And so, yeah, that's who my small forward is. For power forward, I wanted a hustle guy who was switchable because obviously what we saw with Steph and the Warriors and Draymond and Iggy was when they were at the peak of their powers, their defense was...
What do you mean? What do you mean peak of their powers?
Like in 2016, 2017 when they were like...
2019, 20, and then the 2021 season?
Possibly. Well, that's a wait and see on that. But anyway, their defense was just so switchable. And they pretty much 1 through 5, which won't be the case on my team, but pretty much 1 through 5 on the Warriors could switch. Like Draymond can guard like the point guard of the other team and hold up just fine. And that's why I chose for my power forward, I went with Pascal Siakam.
I saw that coming.
Yeah, because just a quick guy who can get out in transition and kind of run with Trey. Maybe even run some pick and roll with Trae Young, possibly. Actually, I think, yeah, that could work too. And just our defense is going to be so good. Like, even though we have Trae Young, our defense is going to be so good. And so that's pretty much why I went with Pascal. Just the switchability combined with the pace of play and energy he'll bring is going to really help us. And then for the center, I went with Brook Lopez. I think Brook Lopez is the second best rim protector in the league behind only Rudy Gobert. And obviously a rim protector is...
What about Hassan?
No.
What about your boy Hassan?
It hurts me that I have to put Brook ahead of Hassan. Rim protection is probably the most important strength a center can have, and Brook Lopez has that in spades. His shooting declined this year, and it was pretty bad, but I don't really think we'll be asking him to do that much. He can set solid screens, which will really open up the offense for Trae Young, and so I just think Brook Lopez makes a lot of sense. And then for me, filling out a good bench player is all about archetypes. Like, obviously, there are very few bench players in the NBA who are all-around awesome players, because if they were all-around awesome players, they'd be starters. So when you're looking for good bench players, you really want them to have like 1 or 2 really good skills. And one of those skills that I think is especially important is just a guy who can create his own shot and shoot from pretty much anywhere on the floor, off the dribble, catch and shoot, on the move. It doesn't matter. And that's Bogdan Bogdanovic is the guy who I took for my team from the Kings. Bogdan Bogdanovic is kind of in the mold of like a Lou Williams sort of guy, like Jamal Crawford, that archetype. Just like I said, just someone who can get their own shot. The reason I chose him over Lou Williams is I think he's a better shooter, especially three-point shooter. He's obviously a better three-point shooter, but also defensively, Bogdan is a guy who I consistently think gets underrated on defense. He gets that sort of, I guess, that white European label of a guy who just is overwhelmed athletically on defense, but Bogdan's a big guy. Like, he doesn't get like overwhelmed when he has to guard guys who may be faster or quicker than him. He can stay in front of his guys. And so
I like him.
Yeah, for sure.
I play with him on 2K. He's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. So he's my sixth man. And then the other guy, the other like archetype or role player I like to have is a hustle guy. He is going to come in and bring a spark plug and add energy to the game. So I picked Brandon Clark of the Memphis Grizzlies. He's a guy.
I have no idea. The Grizzlies are kind of stacked. I feel like they've got a lot of young talent.
Yeah, they're so good.
Because the Brooks is on the Grizzlies, huh?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Who's that one dude, Jackson? What's his name?
Jaren Jackson Jr.
Jaren Jackson, yeah.
I almost picked him instead of Brandon Clark, but I thought that would just be too overpowered. My team would be.
Why?
So,
why wouldn't you just pick really good players?
Well, I wanted to keep it somewhat realistic.
Mine's not.
Well, I'm excited to hear about your team.
All right, ready?
Let's get into
you got the best shooting tandem ever in the history of the NBA. Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson.
Oh, I thought you were gonna go with Dame and CJ for a second, but
no, dude. Dame is not even. He honestly shouldn't even have been a 2K cover athlete. Like, he didn't even do much this year, honestly. Like, okay, so I got Steph because he's the best point guard in the NBA. Like, by leaps and bounds. Like, it's not even close. Like, defensively, like, top 5.
I agree. Can I just say something?
Yeah.
The last time we saw Damian Lillard and Stephen Curry both healthy at the same time, Stephen Curry was the best point guard in the NBA. Damian Lillard took that title from him this year. Like, obviously, nobody would argue that Damian Lillard was the best point guard of this season.
Yep.
It'll be interesting to see if Stephen Curry can like regain that honor next year. Because I think if Stephen Curry comes out and plays like we know he can, he can get back to being the best point guard. But I think right now that has to be Dame.
Yeah, I don't think so. But yeah, Steph is definitely the best point guard in the league. And then you got Klay Thompson, who's going to come back stronger than ever. His injury is not even going to affect him. He's fine. He's had like a whole year to recover, and he's the best doctors in the world, you know. And then we got our boy Jason. And then I just went with some centers that are pretty versatile. I don't even know, is Anthony Davis. He's a center kind of, yeah? Yeah, he's a center. And I got Anthony Davis and Joel Embiid.
Anthony Davis plays power forward, but he's like he can play center too.
Yeah, so I got Steph, Klay, Jason Tatum, Joel Embiid, Anthony Davis, and then the best defender coming out of the bench, the best defender in the league. Probably best defender to ever step foot on a basketball court, Draymond Green. And then just for a little moral support, a little bench action, we got Jordan Poole, probably best shooter in the NBA. Best shooter, best mustache in the NBA. I think when he has it. He's not afraid to shoot. You need those guys that just do not care if they're shooting 0.0015 from behind the arc. You just need guys that'll take shots. And he showed improvement through the end of the year. And he'll probably that's a good team, I think. And my team would probably steamroll through yours.
Probably.
I think that's a solid team. You got guys that can play like Joel Embiid, probably. I don't know. Joel Embiid he's very versatile. And he can shoot and he's a good rim protector. I
You
think
don't want him to shoot though.
he can if he wants to. And Anthony Davis hits threes too.
He can.
He can.
That
But
doesn't
yeah,
mean
you
he
don't really
shouldn't
need
be
much when
shooting.
you have Steph and Clay.
No.
And then Jason Tatum's good.
Yeah, Jason Tatum's pretty good.
Yeah, but that's my team. Well, what do you think? What thoughts? Oh, and then yeah. Oh, but I was thinking maybe Patrick Beverly coming off the bench too, just to get in people's
Yeah.
heads.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. I just like I feel like
The Patrick Beverly Draymond combo.
that would be too much
very
for a team.
interesting.
Yes. But in terms of which team would win out of ours, I'm pretty sure mine would destroy you.
Maybe. I think we definitely have a little bit more chemistry. We definitely have less egos, less distractions off the court.
Yeah. But since Steph is probably the best point guard in the NBA and he's so respected throughout the league, he can just tame all those guys. Oh, and then Steve Kerr's going to be our coach, best coach that's ever stepped foot on a basketball floor. Probably best player that's ever been on the Chicago Bulls. Right?
I think that's fair.
Yeah, pretty fair. But yeah.
Oh, by the way, I didn't include this, but I decided I wanted to have the best coach in the NBA. And so I decided to go with Nick Nurse.
He's pretty savage.
He's really good. Because Nick Nurse will just throw a variety of defensive looks at you and probably confuse Steph Curry and just throw your offense through a loop. And so that's why I think that will be a big X factor.
I want to have a debate here. So you genuinely think Damian's better than Steph?
He was better than Steph this year.
Steph didn't play.
Right, yeah. That's what I'm saying. So, Steph was injured and sat out the entire year. Dame had the best statistical year of his career. Damian Lillard took the crown of best point guard in the NBA. If Steph
I think he's the best point guard in the NBA.
Yeah, he was this year. If Steph comes back and plays like he did before he got injured, then Steph will regain that crown. But right now, the best point guard in the NBA is Damian Lillard.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. I think he is too. He's so good. What game was that when he was who were they playing? When he was just going off.
That's pretty much all of his games.
Was it the Rockets?
He went off a few times against the Rockets this year.
Yeah, I love that. I love
He got his first career triple-double.
Yeah. Okay. I just hate Russell Westbrook and James Harden.
I guess there's something we can agree on.
Yeah. I also don't really like Paul George.
I'm pretty neutral towards PG-13.
I just hate how much of a follower he was when him and Russ were on the Thunder.
Yeah.
Just because Russ was being a dick to the press, Paul George was piggybacking alongside him on it, which is kind of annoying. That's so rude. But whatever. I just think that Russell Westbrook, I don't know what to think of that guy. He has flashes of niceness, but I just feel like he's kind of, I don't know. What do you think?
About him on or off the court?
Off the court, for sure.
Oh, yeah. He definitely seems, at best, entitled. And probably he's just kind of like an asshole, basically.
Yeah, I think so, too. Dude, what's up with this is not a good segue, but Chris Jones got a massive contract, and then they're working on Myles Garrett. Or they finalized Myles Garrett's deal too? Where are the Chiefs getting all this cash from?
What do you mean?
How are I feel like they can't pay too many more. They can't pay much more people.
Because of Patrick Mahomes' contract.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that Chris Jones is good to lock up because I feel like interior defenders.
Yeah, and that's kind of why they're stacking up right now. Is because Patrick Mahomes still has 2 years left on his rookie deal before his extension sort of kicks in, and so it's important for them to spend all the money they can before they have to devote a ton of their salary cap to Patrick Mahomes,
Yeah. He's so good, though. He messed up the Super Bowl, even though you didn't watch the Super Bowl.
I'm sorry, rec league basketball always takes priority.
What was your guys' team name?
I couldn't tell you.
Were you guys pretty good?
We started out good. We were 4-4. We won our first 4 games, then lost our next 4, and we missed the playoffs by 1 game.
That sucks.
It did. It was a bummer.
Yeah, the rec league, I wasn't expecting, like, there's actually some really good athletes.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you have a stud on your team?
You mean besides me?
Yeah. Like, who was number 2?
No, I wasn't number 1. There were, we had a few good kids. We had some shooters on our team, so we were lighting the
From
league
beyond
up.
the arc.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's awesome. But no one in the history of life can hit deeper threes than Jonah Willard.
Yeah, I mean,
Curry, you have no shot.
Steph Curry doesn't come close. If anybody came close, it would be Dane. But
you can pull up from wherever, anywhere on the floor. As long as you're on the floor, it's a shot. Like he gets a rebound and then just flings it across the court. I'll never forget when you beat Jaren, bro. Remember that?
Jaren.
Huh?
Jaren.
What's his
Who's
last?
that?
Huh? Jaren.
Jared.
Jaren.
I'm drawing a blank.
Why?
Shoot. Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, I was.
You're surprised. Are you surprised by that?
Huh? No. Well, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, that was.
Dude, why did I just rethink my entire life? I was saying his name and you're drawing a blank. I'm like, is that his name?
Oh, I mean, I didn't really know, but yeah, it's not like he's good at basketball, so that was not the stiffest of competition.
Okay.
This isn't the most interesting podcast content, though.
No, it's not.
No.
Yeah.
About how I won a game of 1-on-1 3 years ago.
Yeah, no, but that was just really surprising because no one counted you in on that. No one thought you were going to win that. Battle.
You were the only one there, right?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't even close.
Wait, there was a few other people there, I thought.
It wasn't even close. I probably beat him like 11-3 or 11-4, right?
Yeah, because you kept hitting. You were just pulling up, and he wasn't even playing.
Yeah,
you didn't think you could drain the threes. But moving on, it doesn't matter. But I think that our teams would have done pretty well. But yeah, do you want to talk about golf at all?
Yeah, let's talk about it a little bit. Not much to talk about because it's just like the same course as last time.
Yeah.
But what I'm really excited to kind of talk about is the guy who I think will win this week, and that's Tiger Woods.
Yeah, I think Tiger could pull it out, dude. I don't know.
Coming back for the first time since the PGA Tour took its break. The thing about Tiger is he's just comfortable at this course. Like, he's won here a million times at Muirfield Village. He's won the Memorial Tournament several times. And just he hits his iron so well, which is probably the most important skill you could have to play at Muirfield. And the question mark with Tiger, besides injuries, which I think he's doing fine with, the question mark about his play will always be his driver. But from what we've seen, like, obviously this isn't much to go off of, but when he played that match against like Peyton Manning and Phil Mickelson and Tom Brady, and then he was hitting his driver good then. And it's not like you need to pull driver at every hole on Muirfield. Like Justin Thomas proved that last week. I think Tiger Woods is going to be in perfect shape to contend this weekend, and I think he gets it done.
Yeah. I'll never count Tiger out.
No, you can't. You can never count him out.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's the same course, right?
Right. Yeah, they'll probably change it a little bit. Like, they'll for sure grow out the rough, and like the green will be faster as well as different pin positions. But yeah, the similar course.
Yeah. So that's it? You just think Tiger's going to win?
I think Tiger's going to win Do you want me to just name some more players who I think are interesting from like a betting or fantasy golf standpoint? I'll
If
just
you want to.
like drop a couple of names. We don't have to spend any time on them. I think Victor Hovland's another interesting play just because of how well he's been doing recently. I always loved Victor Hovland, yeah. And then Kevin Streelman for like a discount play. I think he's in great form. He loves this course. I think should be a good fit. And then the last guy that I'm very interested in for this week is Daniel Berger because you're getting a good price on him. He's been one of the best players since the tours come back. I see no reason why he won't play well this weekend. And so that's about it for PGA. Should we talk some UFC?
If he wants to. I love how we were talking about NBA for so long, and then it was like, for some reason, I just thought about like the contracts, and I went to that, and then went to golf.
Yeah. I think we should circle back to the NBA.
Yeah, we have to circle back to the NBA because we have like we have some like things I want to talk about because like I obviously think that the Warriors are gonna win the championship next year or this upcoming year. They could honestly, if they came back healthy now, they would sweep everybody. So they would literally go undefeated. Probably. I don't think there's a team that can really contend with the Warriors right now. Besides themselves, like as long as they're there mentally, there's no one that is really. I mean, I see them blowing everyone out by at least 20 points. And Clippers, nothing. Lakers, soft. Bucks, they literally just have one good player on their team. Besides that, the Blazers, probably the most overrated team. They're reliant upon two players. 76ers, just full of attitudes. Joel Embiid, even though I have him on my team, he didn't have too good of a season, right?
No. I mean, not by his standards.
Yeah, I just think that the Warriors would run through everybody in the league. But we're going to talk about UFC a little bit, right?
I think so.
Yeah. Did you do any research?
Not as much as last time, but I've got 5 picks again.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely spent the most time on. Should we start with the headliner for this one?
Yeah. Who do you think is going to win?
Kattar against Ige, right?
Yeah.
And so I actually went with the upset for this one. I went with David Ige.
Ige. Dude, yeah, I love him. And
that's just because the last 2 fights he's been in, right? Haven't they both been decisions?
Yeah.
And they've been close decisions against really good fighters. And what that tells me is just David Ige's no pushover. Like, he's a good fighter. He can stay competitive with, like, really good opponents. And
yeah, that's facts.
And, like, he's such a big underdog. Like, he's, like, plus 250. I see no reason why a guy who has stood up to similar competition as Calvin Kattar should be such a big underdog, you know? Like, mm-hmm. I think he's massively underrated, so I'm going to pick him.
Yeah, plus he's from Hawaii, so you can't count him out. But I really like Danny Ige in that fight because his last fight was against Edson Barboza. I didn't really know who he was before, but Edson he's like a legend in the lightweight division, and then he moved down to 145 to fight Danny Ige, and it was kind of controversial because Edson started off fast, but he quickly like tapered off throughout the fight, and Dan showed his power and was hitting him with some clean shots. And so I like Danny Ige. I think he's a scrapper, and he understands that he's not a freak athlete, so he has to work on everything. You know, because like I feel like some guys get reliant upon certain things, even though you have to be well-rounded to be like successful in the sport. But some guys fall in love with stuff and they want to stay there, and he understands that he's small for the division, and I think the best thing in his tool belt is his power. He has like really heavy hands. So I think everybody's counting him out in this fight because Calvin Kattar is everybody's dark horse in the featherweight division. But I think Danny Ige is a good pick. Even though I think it's going to be a grinder though, because Calvin Kattar is kind of a beast, and he gets stronger as the fight goes on. He fought Zabit Magomed Sharipov, and Zabit was killing him in the beginning. But when you get like these really explosive fighters that do all this crazy stuff and they like taper off, I think Kattar, if he wins and gets into fight, like it's gonna be really interesting to see this fight because I feel like both guys are pretty good as the fight goes on. So if someone doesn't get stopped early and this goes into this is a potentially like I think that this could be a fight of the year candidate if it goes all 5 rounds.
And when it's close enough to be considered even like as a possibility for maybe being like fight of the year caliber, it's sort of ridiculous to see one guy as such a big underdog that he'd be considered like plus 250, right? Like that just seems like way too long of odds.
He has a definite shot in this fight.
Yeah.
And because he fought Edson Barboza is an absolute beast, and he held his own. And I feel like Edson Barboza would compete with anybody in the 145-pound division, even like Max Holloway. I think Max would probably beat him though, but oh my gosh, I'm getting blown up.
Do you want to talk about Max Holloway for a little bit?
Oh, brother. Yes. I have a humongous rant. The judging is absolutely, what even is a word like to describe how shitty the judging is in the UFC?
Controversial.
Yeah, controversial. It's not even, it's just downright ass, bro. Like they are so bad. Okay, there was one, for example, no one really cares about this fight, but there was a prelim fight between, he's my new favorite fighter. I'll have to look it up. It was against Howley and Paiva ended up winning the fight, but I have to look up this guy's name. Okay, yeah. Zhalgas Zhumagulov. He won that fight, bro. And no one's even talking about it. And he got hit in the nuts twice. You should get pointed for that shit. That's unacceptable. And Paiva was like, I didn't even hit him. Like, he was like, look at the replay. Bro, we did look at the replay, and your foot went straight in, or his knee. It was either his knee or his foot went straight into his cup. So annoying. But I really like Zhalgas. It was his debut, and he is really fast, good wrestler. It's not surprising, though, that he's really good. He's literally the champion in the promotion he came from. But that was one robbery. Just because you want to propel another fighter just because he's the 14th ranked flyweight. Yeah, I think it's it's bantamweight. Yeah, no, wait. What the? I am confused. I think they are flyweights. Yes, they are flyweights. And he even missed weight too, dude. You shouldn't even fight if you miss weight. That's the whole point of your job. Come on, man. There should be better judges. People that have mixed martial arts background need to be judges. Because if you don't know anything, just because you took a couple classes, that should not make you a qualified judge. Also, Alexander Volkanovski should not be the featherweight champion of the world. Max Holloway is the featherweight champion of the world. And for these words to even come out of his mouth is absolutely ridiculous. For him to tell Max Holloway that he needs to work through the rankings again just to get up another fight with him, that is absolute bullcrap, considering the fact that he whooped your ass, son, for 5 rounds. There were 2 knockdowns in the first 2 rounds. Yes.
Right.
And 3rd round, close. Max beat him. 4th round. The 4th and 5th rounds were so close anyway. Like, so annoying, dude. How could you even say that he has to work his way up through the rankings when he literally beat you? Are you kidding me? Stop it. God. No one even likes. I feel kind of bad for Alexander Volkanovski because he's catching so much hate, because no one wants him to be champion because they know who the real champ is. How can the best 145er to ever walk the face of the planet not have the belt? That is just ridiculous. But you know what? It's going to be more fun because the next person, the only thing I'm hoping for is if Alexander Volkanovski loses his next title fight, that means that Max Holloway will step in. That's the only way I see it happening because I can't see the UFC making a 3rd fight with Alexander and Max if since Max literally lost twice to him, but he won. So, thoughts, Jonah? What did you think about the judging? You think it was okay?
The judging, I don't think I'm really qualified to give too much criticism.
I know you picked Volkanovski, but what do you think?
I did pick Volkanovski. I thought Holloway controlled the fight, and you could see throughout that he definitely was maybe doing like a little bit better than Volkanovski was. But then when you go and look at the numbers and like
numbers do not just because he landed more strikes doesn't mean they were significant.
I know, but
who's even judging that?
And I'm not even using that as a defense. I'm just saying if somebody were to like try to give an explanation as to why Volkanovski won the fight, like it probably part of it has to be just the raw numbers, even if that's an unfair way to decide.
Mm-hmm. Just Max pieced him up for the first 2 rounds, like no doubt about it.
For sure.
And then 3rd round tight, 4th round arguably Max, 5th round arguably Max. Stop it. How could he win the first 2 rounds and then not get 1 round later in the fight? Come on. Especially when Alexander was pushed to the point where he knew he couldn't stand on the feet with Max because Max was just piecing him up, and then he started shooting. And Max was stuffing his takedowns, and then he lands a couple. He takes Max down a couple times, but it's not like he does anything with him because Max's hips are so strong he gets right back up to his feet. In order for this takedowns to be significant, I think you have to land at least a little bit of damage. You have to hurt your opponent. If you just take him down, you're not doing anything. If anything, it's more tiring for the person taking him down using their wrestling. It takes more energy to take someone down than it is to get back to your feet, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it was controversial for sure.
It was okay. Like I can see, since it was a close fight, you can't necessarily say it's a robbery, but it was. That's all I have to say. Judging in the UFC needs to change, bro. It's embarrassing. You can't be considered the pinnacle of the sport and then have a corrupt judging system. Like that doesn't work. But I mean, I guess the NFL is like that, and the refs screwed the Niners out of a Super Bowl. So it is what it is. It is what it is, you know? Just because there's a little George Kittle barely even touched. I don't even know who it was. It doesn't even matter. But for him to get a pass interference called on him, so ticky-tack, bro. So lame. And the Chiefs were holding all game. All game. You wouldn't know because you didn't watch because you don't care because you don't have an NFL team. But yeah, it was a very frustrating game to watch. There's a lot of things that don't go my way, you know, sports wise. God.
Yeah, imagine being a 49ers fan and a Warriors fan. Probably
God, terrible.
Really tough half decade for you.
Dude, are you kidding? Yeah, I guess. But the Niners have not been good for the past couple of years. They have been really good, but they just haven't been able to put it together.
Not to mention Duck football has been terrible.
Ow.
You have it.
Are you trying to start something?
No, I'm being sarcastic.
Oh, yeah.
You literally have it so easy as a sports fan.
The Ducks got kind of like they had 2 years where it wasn't too hot.
Yeah. For sure.
They got destroyed. Remember when they got I was like, Dad, watch Oregon. They're going to hold their own against Washington. Nope. 70 points.
The Beavs even beat them one time.
Yeah. I miss Marcus McMaryion. Remember him? He was at Fresno State.
Mm-hmm.
He was so good. That's such a shame that they got rid of him.
Yeah.
Or that he transferred away.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was Gary Anderson just didn't have the brain power to put up a offense that would actually like complement him instead of just handing the ball off to your best running back until they get hurt. That's pretty much their strategy.
And then McMaryion was awesome at Fresno State.
Yeah, I know. He led them to like a couple 9-win seasons, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So annoying. That's pretty much the Beavers' game plan, though. Whoever's your best player, give it to them until they get hurt.
Pretty much.
You saw it with Jaquiz. You saw it with James.
But
you see it with Jamar.
Now, last year it started to be a little different. Like last year was the most balanced the Beavers have been like between the run and pass game in a while.
Offensively, defensively soft.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Beavers are. I like the Beavers because they're scoring points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I thought that's why I went to the Utah game because I was like, Dad, they're gonna upset Utah. Nope.
They played entertaining football, and it was the first time in like years that you could say that.
Yeah, because they're even if they were losing, they would still put up points, which is always fun.
Are you ready to move back to the NBA?
If you want to, yeah.
Or were you going to make predictions for the other 4 fights?
Oh, I wanted to see one more. Cody Stamann versus Jimmy Rivera. That's a really good fight. Cody Stamann came out. He's coming off a really big win against Brian Kelleher, and I've only seen Cody Stamann fight a few times, but he had arguably his like best performance. He looks super duper sharp considering he lost his 19-year-old brother like that fight week.
Yeah,
which is devastating, and he still held his emotions in check and fought his heart out. So I think Cody Stamann is going to win. Jimmy Rivera is tough though, but I don't know. I like Cody Stamann a lot. He's a really nice guy. But yeah, those are the 2 fights that really stand out on the card. I'm just gonna have to watch it. There's like UFC comes out with stuff that says fighters to watch,
mm-hmm.
and I watch that, and I'm kind of it makes you more excited for the fights, but I just think that those to the main event and Cody Stamann fight is going to be the main. It's going to be the ones that stand out. But yeah.
Right. So
Jonah doesn't say anything.
I'm just preparing myself to talk about the Warriors.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So
what we have to talk about for the Warriors is initially our expectations for them next year, and then what is going to have to happen this offseason for them to meet those expectations.
Just stay healthy, and you got the title. That's it. It's a pretty simple game plan.
Well, I mean, they've already failed the staying healthy challenge. Now it's about how they can bounce back from those injuries and if their guys are as good as we remembered them being. And
what do you mean staying healthy? What do you mean they failed?
Well, I mean, Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson played a combined 5 games this year.
No, yeah, I know that.
But combined like 3 games this year.
No, I'm saying, but the point of what I'm trying to say is that they need to stay healthy in order to get back on track.
Right, but is a healthy Klay Thompson in 2020
the best shooting guard in the NBA? Yes.
You think so?
Yes. Honestly, though, I know you want to hate because you're a Blazer fan, but Klay Thompson.
That's not even why. Like, I like Klay Thompson. I think he plays really good basketball. I think he's one of the best shooters of all time.
Yes.
And I think he will be one of the best. He's still going to be an insane shooter. It's just how is he going to get the volume of shots that he used to be getting when he doesn't have the same athleticism that he used to? Because it's hard.
You don't know that.
Well, we can assume. Like, let's say
assume that because you see so many guys come back from ACL injuries just as strong as they were.
Even if he didn't have the ACL injury, he's 31 years old. He was going to start declining athletically eventually. Anyway, the injury is just going to enunciate.
He's how old?
He's 30. He's going to turn 31 during the season.
That's not old.
For an NBA player, it's getting old.
Yeah, but that's not that old. And the way he plays, I feel like as long as you can shoot, you're solid. You said that about Steph.
Right, but in order to get off those shots, you need to have at least the baseline of speed and athleticism. Like, even if you're not running off screens, you need to have like the strength to separate yourself from your defender.
Klay Thompson's going to be fine.
And another thing that made Klay Thompson one of the best players in the NBA was how good he was on defense and how he was strong and how he could push himself into the guy he was guarding. Like, there's no way that's going to be the same as it used to be. Yeah. Like, I would be surprised if he spends the majority of his time guarding shooting guards. Like, I think if anything, you're going to see Klay Thompson playing more small forward on defense, just because I don't know if he's going to be quick enough to hang with a lot of the really good shooting guards in the NBA.
I just think that he's going to be fine. And
I hope he is, because he's an awesome player to watch when he was in his prime. I just would be a little bit more skeptical.
I think a good thing for this, a funny thing would if we just did like controversial questions where it's obviously like I have one stance and you have yours, and we just talk about it.
Yeah, that's what we're doing right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I feel like that's interesting to talk. Like when people
this is the first real disagreement we've had on a podcast before.
I know. Well, I just think as soon as the Warriors get back and they're healthy, they're going to be a contender right off the bat again.
I think a very good outcome for the Warriors in the 2020-2021 season would be to get home court advantage the first round in the playoffs, to be a top 4 seed in the West. Because obviously I think
that's a lock.
We can both agree that there are 3 teams that are going to be better than the Warriors. Like,
who?
The Nuggets are going to have a better record than the Warriors. The Mavericks are going to have a better record than the Warriors. And that's not to say the Warriors can't beat these teams in the playoffs, because I think they can. I just don't think the Warriors are going to have too many of their eggs in the winning regular season games basket, you know? Like, do you think Draymond Green cares about winning in the regular season? Do you think Steve Kerr and Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, after 5 straight NBA Finals appearances and 3 rings, do you think they care about winning regular season games?
No.
So that's why I don't really think they'll get home court advantage in the playoffs. Can they win a playoff series? Probably. It'll obviously, it's way too early to tell, and it obviously will depend on.
What do you mean probably? They've proved it in the past.
Well, I mean, pretty much every team in the NBA has won a playoff series.
No. I'm saying if they were No, I'm just saying that.
What you're saying is that if the Warriors come back and they're as good as they were when they were 100% healthy, they're a championship contender, and I agree with that. I just think the chance of them being back to that level of excellence is just so small, it's almost not even worth thinking about.
You think? We'll just have to wait and see.
Well, for sure, but these guys are...
I can't wait to watch this back in there in the finals.
if that happens, we have to run this clip back. But
we will, for sure. I cannot wait.
So do you want to talk about...
What?
Do you want to talk about some ideas we have for the Warriors this offseason and how they could improve? Because they've got their core. They've got, obviously, their core is like Draymond, Klay, Steph, Wiggins. I guess you have to include him in there now.
I love him.
And then they've got some young guys who, at best, some of them are good, like Eric Paschall. Some of them are projects, such as Jordan Poole, Alan Smolgic, and Michael Mulder is actually a guy I really like, and I think will play well for him this year. As
Kai
well
Bowman's
as
good, but I don't know.
Yeah. I like Kai Bowman. I think he can play minutes for him this year.
Yeah.
So I guess.
Oh, and
Marquise Chris, yeah.
Who'd they get? So they got rid of Burks
and Glenn Robinson the third.
Glenn.
And
a Spellman.
Yeah, they got rid of Omari Spellman and Jacob Evans in that Timberwolves trade.
Mm-hmm. Jacob Evans never really did much. I remember them drafting him, but he never really played.
He had an awful NBA career. But anyway, and then another guy who we haven't even mentioned yet is Kevon Looney, who I just don't really see him ever making an impact again. If it's not one thing with the guy, it's the other. He's always got some sort of injury, whether it's his back or his...
He was a big part of their run, though, He
was a big part of their run in the...
When he was healthy.
Playoffs. Yeah. And then he just got injured during the finals. You could see he was in a ton of pain. He came back for a few games this year, never even looked close to what we hoped he could do.
But when you're not when you're not consistently in a game, it's hard to get into a groove.
Correct. But I just think if it had been one injury that had been bugging him the whole time, sure, but it's always something different with him. It's just like his body is just all kinds of out of sorts, I feel like, when it's just tough with those guys to like expect anything of them, you know? Like you can't really factor in Kevon Looney when you're like making plans for the Golden State Warriors season just because you can't reliably expect him to play, you know?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I agree. That goes for any player that's injury prone, though.
True. Yeah.
I just think that the Warriors have a lot of good pieces, and if they, so they want to maybe get rid of Wiggins and then trade away their their lottery pick.
I mean, in a perfect world for the Warriors, let's say somebody like Bradley Beal demands a trade, like we've seen Anthony Davis do, like we've seen Jimmy Butler do, and the Warriors are able to package Andrew Wiggins, their first-round pick, as well as Minnesota's first-round pick, and get said superstar. I don't really see that happening for a couple reasons.
I want longevity.
Yeah, just because I don't really see any superstar demanding a trade, and I don't think the Warriors, if that does happen and a superstar demands a trade, I don't really see the Warriors having the best offer to make another team.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there are a few really important questions for the Warriors to address this offseason, and that is, are they going to trade their first-round pick? Like, it doesn't have to be packaged with Andrew Wiggins for a superstar, but if competing and winning a championship this year is their number one priority, like, it makes a lot of sense to try to move on from that pick.
It should be. It should be.
Yeah, and
isn't the goal of every team?
Well, no, but
it is the ultimate goal.
Yeah, I'm saying if they want to win a championship this year, though.
Yeah, they will.
And so if they prioritize winning this year over like having an awesome team 10 years from now, which I think they should, like, you've got freaking Stephen Curry. Like, obviously you're trying to win as many games as possible right now. Mm-hmm. And if that is the goal, it makes a lot of sense to trade that pick. And then they also have, a $17 million trade exception from the Andre Iguodala to Memphis deal just sitting there. And that can be used or even combined with their pick to get a very interesting contributor. Yeah. And then say they do hang on to the pick, like, then that opens up a whole other can of worms about who you draft. You need
a big man.
Yeah, big man probably. But first, the Warriors are going to be a very expensive team, and adding a first-round pick, let's say they get the first overall pick, that's another $12 million on your salary book. And that $12 million is going to get taxed because the Warriors are going to be in the luxury tax this year. Their team is crazily expensive. Mm-hmm. And so it's just a matter of, like, whether the Warriors, like, there are so many different priorities at play. Like, do you want to be cost effective? Do you want to win a championship this year? How much do you value success in the next decade after this one?
I think that what they need to do is focus on longevity, because if you get a good player, they can complement the players you have now. I think you're an instant contender as it is. So
how would you be looking to acquire that player if you were the Warriors?
I would think that you draft him.
And you're a big James Wiseman guy, aren't you?
Yeah. And then, like, Toppin.
Yeah. If anything, Toppin's more interesting. And that's kind of where I'm at with the Warriors. Like, I think if they fall down to, let's say, 4 or 5 in the draft, with 5 as the lowest they can fall to, obviously, then I think you stay there, because I think that's a reasonable range to draft Obi Toppin, and I think Obi Toppin would be a difference maker on the Warriors. And especially if Draymond Green plays well this year. If Draymond has a good season, him and Toppin would be a very good front court, and Draymond could obviously be the small ball center, and that obviously wouldn't be your starting lineup. Probably couldn't be your closing lineup against every team, but I think that's a very compelling strategy to use.
I think
But
Draymond can have a hell of a season this upcoming year.
yeah, he's another one of those guys. It's just hard to tell. But anyway, if the Warriors get the number 1 overall pick, I think that becomes a lot more interesting because I don't like James Wiseman for them. I don't really like James Wiseman for any team as the number 1 overall pick. I don't see that he adds that much value. I don't think he adds $12 million worth of value, let alone the value that comes with having the number 1 overall pick. Mm-hmm. And the thing about that is, like, once you draft a guy, that player becomes much more harder to trade than the pick itself is. It's sort of like the symptom of, or the scenario of just driving that new car off the lot. If the Warriors get the number 1 pick, I don't expect them to take that car off the lot. I would highly expect them to look to trade the pick, most likely packaged with the Iguodala trade exception, and try to get another contributor. And a guy I really like for the Warriors, and as a car alarm goes off behind me, but a guy I would really like on the Warriors who would fit in that trade exception is Marcus Smart from the Boston Celtics. And obviously you might be thinking, oh, Marcus Smart is a great young player. Like, why would the Celtics want to trade him? When you've got 2 awesome wings in Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, and you've got a very good point guard in Kemba Walker, does Marcus Smart, who is kind of redundant with all of those guys, provide you with more value than a top 3 pick does? I think that's an interesting question for the Celtics to answer, and I would
But
have
you
to
think
say
that they
no.
would trade for Marcus Smart and trade a top 3 pick away?
The Warriors?
Yeah.
I think they'd be lucky to be able to do that.
To get Marcus Smart?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sure.
Because this draft sucks. Like, let's call a spade a spade. Like, everybody in NBA scouts have been saying this for the past year. There are some good role players and some good value deeper in the draft. The top 5 and 10 players, not very good. There's no a home run. Very young. There's no Zion. There's no Jaw. And obviously, probably one of these guys in all likelihood is going to be awesome. Maybe LaMelo pops off. Maybe Anthony Edwards is really good.
Yeah, LaMelo, I think he's going to be really good.
Yeah, but if you're the Warriors, do you want to take a risk on a guy like that, or do you want to just get Marcus Smart, who's going to be an awesome contributor for your team?
How old's Marcus Smart?
I think he's only he's in his mid-20s. He's probably 26 or 27. Let me do a quick fact check for this.
Yeah, I like Marcus Smart. I remember him when he was playing at Oklahoma State.
Yeah, and he's only 26 years old. He could, let's say Clay doesn't come back as strong on defense. Marcus Smart will immediately pick up that slack. He's a good shooter. He's a great defender. I think he could play with Steph and Clay, Steph point guard, Marcus Smart shooting guard, Clay small forward. I think that's awesome. I love the fit of Marcus Smart with the Warriors. Obviously, maybe Boston says no. Maybe Boston knows what they have in Marcus Smart and doesn't value the pick that highly. If the Warriors can get that done, that's huge. And huge for Golden State.
I like Wiggins, and I think that if they got Marcus Smart, that would actually be pretty solid.
I like Wiggins too. I think Wiggins is going to have the best year. I think playing next to Steph is going to be massive for him. And he doesn't even need to be terrific on. All he needs to do is side defender, and I think he won't be a liability on that end. And then just hit open shots and be a straight line driver on offense. Basically, what you're asking him to do is just be the Harrison Barnes of this team. Mm-hmm. And I don't think he's as good on defense as Harrison Barnes was for the Warriors.
He was locking up LeBron when they played the Lakers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He was playing really good defense.
Yeah. But can he do that for 82 games and the playoffs? I don't think so. He's never put together multiple good defensive games in a row, hardly at all throughout his career. He's just been really inconsistent, and that's also because he's never been on a very good team. And obviously the Warriors always are talking about their culture and stuff. And this is going to be a big test if that culture is really as great as we all think it is. And if that does turn out to be true, like Andrew Wiggins is going to be like a revelation. Like I honestly, if you're just going to ask me right now if I think they should trade him, I'm probably going to say no, just because I think Warriors need Kevin Durant. That would just be unrealistic. They need another Harrison Barnes. And I think that could be Andrew Wiggins. And I think Andrew Wiggins could also pick up some of the Andre Iguodala slack, where he maybe when like the backups, the bench units in the game, like Andrew Wiggins could spend some time with the ball in his hands, kind of creating offense. Like that's obviously not what he's the best at, but in a pinch, you could do worse than.
I think he could. I really like Andrew Wiggins. Like he's almost like I don't want to say guaranteed, but he gets 20 points like regularly.
Whoa. Well, I don't know if that's going to be the case.
Well, he probably won't get as many because he has to share the ball.
Yeah, maybe 11 points a game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but who knows though? We don't know.
I would say if Andrew Wiggins is scoring 20 points a game, I would say that is not going to be a good sign for the Warriors.
You think?
Yeah.
Who knows? It could be a good sign.
It probably would mean that Clay is not having the season we would hope.
But if they're all shooting really well.
Maybe. Yeah, I guess so. But when has Andrew Wiggins ever shot really well?
I think he's pretty good.
He's slightly below average catch and shoot, well below average shooting off the bounce. And obviously that's going to change this year when he's playing with Stephen Curry, because everybody gets way better when they're playing with Stephen Curry. But let's not pretend Andrew Wiggins is going to turn into like Kyle Korver or anything. At best, he's going to be shooting probably like 36, 37% from deep, which is okay. Like that's good. Like I have been saying, like all we need is another Harrison Barnes, and the Warriors will be fine with that.
Yeah. Do you think that the Warriors would have? Do you think it was? I mean, obviously, like this sounds stupid, but obviously it was good to get KD. But like, I feel like the Warriors when they got KD, it kind of stunk because they were more reliant upon him and one player. It as like when they won when it was like the 14 and 15 team or whatever, or no, when it was earlier before like KD, when they had like Festus Ezeli and guys like that. I feel like the Warriors were
way more
fun. I don't want to say better, but I just felt it was more. There was just more of a team aspect. I don't know.
Yeah, that's 100% correct.
Because I feel like they became more vulnerable when they had KD.
Yeah, that's not even like debatable. That's just a fact. Like KD definitely was like ruffling feathers, and it was definitely like KD, like for better or for worse, it was KD's team when he came to Golden State. And I think that's when you like look through history, one of the really underrated parts about Stephen Curry. Like how many players on Stephen Curry's level are unselfish enough that they would like allow another player to come in and kind of like steal the spotlight from them?
Not many.
Yeah, and I think that's awesome. Like Stephen Curry like deserves so much respect for that. And now we're going to finally see like Stephen Curry have his own team again, which is going to be super exciting. I'm super excited to see what the Warriors offense is going to look like this coming season.
It just kind of stinks. The Warriors definitely understood that they were in a point where if they got KD, they would win titles. But at the same time, I feel like after they won, it kind of hurts them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they still were able to get good players from like KD leaving and stuff, but I don't know.
Yeah, you kind of
became a little less deep
when KD left.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that was just because they had to do the sign and trade. Well, they didn't have to, but they did the sign and trade, which obviously like hard capped them and prevented them from using minimum contracts and all that stuff to sign guys. So That would be like the big thing, and that was only a handicap for this past season. Like, in going forward, like that's not going to be an issue anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just think that they're going to be solid next year as long as everything goes right.
They're going to be a playoff team, probably. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We'll see. I'm scared though, but I honestly, I can see it either going really well or really bad. Like if they start off hot,
I see it somewhere in the middle. I think they're just going to be probably like the 5 or 6 seed, maybe win a playoff series, and I think that'll be all we can ask from them this year.
Mm-hmm. It could be kind of good though if they have lower expectations and then they just like blow those out of the water, because they're usually always like expected to be.
If we're being 100% honest, how many Western Conference teams do you think are going to be better than the Warriors next year?
0.
Okay.
No, I don't know. Probably like 2.
The 2 LA teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's about it, I think. And then, yeah. I mean, the Blazers are really good though.
Yeah, the Blazers, and especially next year, the Blazers are going to be tough, but a lot of the same questions, which is another story for another day, but a lot of the same like question marks the Blazers have always had are going to be there next year.
Mm-hmm. If the Blazers, dude, imagine if the Blazers had LaMarcus, they'd be so good.
I don't really know. Not at this point in his career. I don't really know how big of a help he'd be.
Yeah, but I feel like they've always just like the Warriors have missed like a dominant big man.
The Warriors?
Just like the Warriors and the Blazers, that's like one thing they have in common.
One of the Blazers missed a dominant big man. I mean, I guess not dominant. We've never had a dominant big man, but we've always had really solid big guys.
Like who?
Like right now, Nurkic. Before that.
Oh yeah. I completely forgot. Yeah, they're so good when they have Nurk.
Yeah, Nurk's awesome. I can't wait to see him play again.
No, yeah, when they don't have him, they're not as good. For sure. I like Nurkic.
Yeah.
But yeah. We talked about a lot, I feel like.
I know, this was a very strong episode of All Gear No Game.
It was very.
I liked this one because this was like our first debate we've had on
I know
the podcast, but we worked out a good resolution too, so it was more of a happy ending.
Mm-hmm. We had a little bit of technical difficulties at the beginning because my freaking mic wasn't on.
I know, it was so weird though, because when we first started the Zoom meeting, I could hear you just fine, and then all of a sudden,
because it was coming through my Mac mic.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, how long did we go for?
Like an hour and 20 minutes, hour 15.
Wow, beautiful. But I think that we need to come up with some set segments that we could do.
Yeah. I liked the segment you thought of today where we each came up with like our own NBA team. That was super fun.
Yeah, that's cool. And then I think that we should do like a couple debate questions, and I'll come up with some, and you can come up with some that will be controversial.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Dope. And then eventually, once we get like good, I think it would be fun to interview people and have them on.
Yeah.
Because when you have like more than 2 people, it's like timed, so it would have to be a shorter episode anyway. So it's like less pressure to have to talk to someone for a long time, which would be tough, I feel like. But yeah, this was good.
Yes, it was.
Can you?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Okay, good.
It was a good one.
Yes. All right. So when do you think you want to do the next one?
Anytime.
Okay. Well, I think that maybe we could do one later in the week.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe another. What did we did? Did we do Thursday or Friday last week? We did Friday, right?
Yeah, we can do Friday, because then I'll just I can go over stuff about what happened on tomorrow with the UFC.
Okay. Yeah, we could even do like Thursday. Yeah, Thursday or Friday.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Okay. Good job.
You too. See ya.
All right, bye.